G'day everyone and welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to start working on the basics of blacksmithing for beginners. What I'm going to do is forging some tapers. We're going to do a square taper and a round taper, and then we'll take it in the next ones from there. As you can see, I am using some rusty old steel. Look, it does not matter when you're just practicing. This is some nasty stuff that's been sitting around my yard for ages. So, you know, it's perfect just for knocking out some tapers on. Doesn't need to be the prettiest piece of steel in the world just to practice on. Alright, so we'll get it warmed up and then we'll get going. And I will switch to voiceover rather than talk to the camera. Alright, the first thing we're going to do here is just clean the steel up. Because it's so rusty and nasty, we just want to get any flakes of steel off it. So quick wire brushing once we're up to heat, and that cleans off those pockets of rust. If we're hitting it while it's at heat and we're knocking those chunks of rust off, we've got hot metal flying through the air, which isn't a good thing. Okay, so when we're forging down a taper, we want a bright orange to yellow heat. We lift the back end up at the angle we want the taper, and then double that angle with the hammer. Just forge down, quarter turn, forge down, back a quarter turn. We're just continually going through that process. Now once we lose the heat on it, we go back in the forge. There's no point hammering on cold steel, you're going to destroy it, and that's the last thing you want to do. I'm working with two pieces here so I can bring the next one out quickly for you. Okay, again we lift the rear end of the steel and double the angle up with the hammer. Just quarter turn it backwards and forwards. Straighten it back up before we go back in. And just little planishing blows to neaten it up. Now the one thing with the gas forge is it doesn't isolate the heat up at the tip, whereas it would with a coal forge. So I tend to get a bit of bending in the back end of the stock, which means you've got to correct that before it goes back in. So there's our first piece back out, just cleaning it up. Just lost a bit of heat on the first round due to torquing. Okay, we're just going to clean up the anvil, just make sure we've got any of the scale off the anvil, and drop in the hot cut. Okay, bring that piece across, and I'm just going to cut that taper off the end so we've got a fresh square end to go again on. And same with the second piece. After a bit of straightening up, of course. We want to take that hot cut back out. You don't want to leave it sitting in the anvil because it becomes a danger to your hammer hand, even if you're not hammering anywhere near it. Okay, and off we go again. So a piece of metal on the angle we want, and our hammer has doubled that angle. Quarter turns in between. Nice smooth consistent blows. Just tidy it up before it returns to the forge. Always try and make sure you keep the scale off the anvil, that way you're not hammering the work into scale. Bit of straightening up on the angle and double the angle with the hammer. It's all fairly simple, but that's why this is our first lesson. Just want to make sure that we don't go down too low in heat, and that we always straighten up before we go back in. Now just bring the first one out just to finish it off. Don't stress about doing anything in one heat. You're better to take your time and do it accurately than try and knock it all out as quick as anything. The speed will come with practice, but in the meantime just work on your accuracy, get that right. And just finishing off the second piece. Quarter turns in between. Just looking at it as you're doing it. Just making sure everything is looking good and lining up. And there we go, our square taper. Now we're going to work on our round taper. So we turn it up on the diagonal and we're hitting the corner. Quarter turn, hit the corner. Quarter turn, hit the corner. Okay, once we've got the corners knocked in so they're the same size as the flats, we're just turning it around and random hits just to smooth it all off. And as you get lower in the heat, you can start seeing it a little bit better. So again, on the diagonal, roll it 90 degrees on the diagonal. Once they're nice and even with the flats, then just start the random hammer. So you're just twisting around as you're hammering, just blending all the lines together and giving you a nice smooth finish. Alright, there we go, all finished. You can go through, do the square points, cut them off time and again. As I said, I'm just using a rusty piece. You want to end up with nice flat facets. So they want to be nice and flat and symmetrical. Okay, and our round ones want to have a nice curve on them with no flat areas. And remember, in the blacksmith shop, the only safe metal to touch is when it's black and wet. Black could be a black heat, so that can be very dangerous. You can get very severe burns off touching something at a black heat. Alright, thank you very much everyone for watching. Please hit the like, please hit the subscribe, and hit that little bell notification so you see more videos that are coming along in this series and also other series. Again, thank you very much for watching, and bye for now.